now. Glenn and Ray's Excellent Facebook Live Adventure, Volume 3. We are talking deep dive with converting listings and getting those things on your books so that next week we're going to talk about getting them sold. But for now, we're talking about getting them converted. And don't forget, you're after a free gift, realestatetraining.me. If this podcast ain't enough for you, there's more at www.realestatetraining.me. All right, for now, Glenn and Ray's Excellent Facebook Live Adventure, whatever it's called. This is, we're talking about converting those listings. Enjoy. You want the normal real estate training you've been told a million times? Make cold calls, knock on doors. Best be switching off now, because in this podcast, we go out of the box using unknown tactics, primarily, that the real estate industry's never heard of, in order to get you called in more often, convert those listings, and get more success without the painful cold calling. Listen up, we're in for a ride. This is Real Estate Renegades. Good morning, everyone. We've got a few on, Ray. Tay's on. Actually, mate, for the early part, there's already a couple of dozen on. So that's
good morning, everybody. Wherever you are, whoever you're doing.
Oh, whoever you're doing, Ray. Hey,
Glenn, what's this about?
Oh my goodness, what are you doing? Oh God.
I went to see the Avengers yesterday.
The Infinity War, huh?
I think it's got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So.
Mate, it's the great Thanos is, in my opinion. See, I'm a bit of an aficionado on the superheroes, right? You remember the Superman branding stuff I do and all that.
Yeah.
Thanos, mate, I'm embarrassed to say, I found myself cheering for Thanos in certain parts of that movie. Like, he is the best villain I've ever seen, ever, ever. Oh my God. And when he gave no spoilers. Things in your ear. When he gave the Hulk a touch up at the start.
Yep.
Oh, mate. And you saw it in 3D. Is that what those glasses were about?
I did. It was bizarre. It was crazy.
Man. Well, I've seen it twice already in 2D. My next viewing must be 3D. Yeah, nice.
It was crazy. So, yeah, there we are.
Right.
Okay.
Share the thread around a little bit, Ray, and let's get to work. Hey,
all right.
We're live in a few places, and Naomi's on there in back of house sharing her butt off and putting it everywhere. Oh, Chrissy Jenkins gave us a share. Good girl. Thanks, Chrissy. Yeah. Share the love, folks. Where are we coming in from today?
Yeah, where's everybody from? Let's do a little roll call, Glenn.
Roll call. Who's on? So first off, where you're from and how many of Glenn and Ray's excellent adventures have you been on up until today? I want to see some people that have been on 3 out of 3. Who's been on 3 out of 3?
Crikey.
Hey, which maniacs have been on every day? Whack it there in the commentary. And my little thing is frozen up there, has it? Yeah, there we go. Let me just refresh that. And then we will get to work on delivering some amazing training, Ray, that they should be paying for. I mean, Ray, this is pay-worthy training that we've been given for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
All right. So Ray's doing a bit of sharing. We got a bit of commentary going on there. I'm just going to open up this video so that, and I don't want the noise to come in, turn off the sound, so I can see all of your guys' comments. So,
hi, Lynn. Hi, Megan.
Sue Megan Wilson has been on 3. Well done, Sue.
Michelle.
3 out of 3.
Mel Rosamond, I just see on the Book of Face, has won a mentorship with the Boros of Mark.
Yeah. We had a prize for our event, and it was
congratulations, Mel.
Yeah, some mentoring with Mark Boros, with me, and with Chris Gilmore. So I think I think I'm definitely the third rung in that. Although Mel humoured me by saying the person she's most excited about is working with me, but I think she was just humouring me, Ray. I don't know.
That Scott bloke's on here.
Scotty Lackman, is he on?
Yeah, Scotty. Good morning.
Scotty. Good morning, sir. Oh, he's saying Caboolture times 3. That means he was on when we were banging on about him yesterday, Ray. Oh. I'm embarrassed. We're talking about it.
Was all good, though.
Well, it was freaking, yeah.
Absolute legend.
Because we were
Xavier. G'day, mate, from NZ. Love your work. Chrissy, Tay, already said Michelle. Luke Walker from beautiful Mildura, the Sunraysia.
Wow.
Nice. And... yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome.
All right, so Ray, before we get started, I want to help Michelle out. Michelle asked on day 1, and I said I was going to address it on day 2, and I just let it slip my mind.
Yeah.
So I want to help Michelle before we get into today's lessons, which is going to be all about converting those things we talked about yesterday, those listing opportunities into well-priced, well-motivated, ready to sell listings. So that's going to be today's agenda.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start with you, Ray. What would be your take for Michelle to get out of a funk? And what Michelle said was that yesterday's content that we delivered, maybe giving her some clarity around what to do, was actually of some help.
Yep.
So, but we didn't directly address the question. So have you got a direct answer for Michelle? You've been around, you've seen a lot of people in funks.
I've got some thoughts, and you know, there are times in all of our careers when we need to regroup. The thing that I would do is I'd do something that I like to do. I like to shop. So I would take a day off and I'd hang out and I'd go and have lunch. I'd probably do it all by myself, but I'd just think. I'd take a notepad. So if you're getting nowhere, you probably, it's almost like one of those things, Glenn, the harder you try, the worse it gets. You beat yourself up. You kind of got to get out of your own way, as Mark McLeod says. And it's not a bad idea. I would just give some thought to, I would take a day or three off and just regroup, and I would listen to inspiring ideas. I'd play some good podcasts, and I'd probably just keep a little bit of a minute journal as to some of the best thoughts that are going on in my head. And I used to write down my priorities. Often it's overwhelm. So, you know, I keep a journal handy, so handy I can't find it. Here it is. And I just write down stuff. And whenever I get a little bit swamped and the water's coming over the edge of the boat, which doesn't happen that much anymore, I'm pleased to say, but it can happen to anybody. And the first thing I do is just get away from it and just sort of work out where your priorities are. So that's a bit out of left field, but hey, it works for me. I find that.
And I wonder if Michelle
go for a big long walk.
Yeah, I wonder if Michelle can take something from both of us, because it's interesting there, Ray, that, you know, what works for one person won't work for another. And that is a very individual question that Michelle asked. And I'm just looking for my journal, because, and it mustn't be here. No, Jesus Christ, can't see it for looking. It's here. So here's what I would do, Michelle. And there's a bunch of tactics. What I liked from Ray is he said about inspiring thoughts and what thoughts are inspiring. So one of the things that definitely does inspire me is I look back over a Jim Rohn lesson that I was given many years ago, and it's a little process that he's got. And the first thing is, and I only did it again a week ago, but I did it years ago, and I update it I should update it every year. I do it every couple of years when I get around to it and stuff. But the first thing is write down 5 things you've already done that you're proud of. So that would be the first thing. Just take a moment, write down 5 things you're proud of. And I've written mine down just a couple of days ago. There they are, you know, business achieving the impossible. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Richard Branson, Eric Thomas, Gary Vaynerchuk, the Altmans, Luis Ortiz, Mark Burris, Jeff Fennick, and the list goes on, all have conspired to make my business more successful. I'm as proud as shit of that. So when I even read that, I think that lights me up, right? And then there's 4 others: achieving $2 million in revenue, kids well-adjusted amongst the struggles and getting close to an okay system. Like, I'm even proud that I've gotten close to an okay system. I'm not even there yet. You know, found the love of my life and she feels the same. Man, what a win. You know, I mean, Naomi, if she's on, I'm embarrassed now that she's sitting there going, shut up, Twiddle, you know, stop gushing, you know, get a room, you too. You know, become an admirable person worthy of people's admiration. Like, I'm proud as shit of that. And when I read those 5 things, whatever was a problem is lessened by 5%. But then I might just go, okay, but I'm still got the shits about this thing. So then I go to the next page, which is question 2, which is, what are the things? And I write down my goals then, what I want to do next. $1 million in the bank, clear, liquid, and sitting there in cash. Now, a lot of investment advisors would say that's a silly goal, but I want it. I don't care. I want it. It's no one else's goal. It's mine. I want liquid cash. People say, oh, but you should have your money working for you. Well, you know what? I'll have other money maybe working for me. I want $1 million just sitting there, liquid cash. And then it goes on and on and on. So after I've done that, though, this is the advice where you and I maybe differ a little bit, Ray, in that I read in a book called, because believe me, Michelle, I've been in funks. I've been, you know, when you're hanging on to the roller coaster, hanging on for grim death, it isn't always sunshine, rainbows, and chinking, you know, bourbons with Sylvester Stallone and all of that sort of thing.
It is slog. This morning, I was up at 3 a.m. to be on my first coaching call at 3:30 a.m. that finished 10 minutes before this call. Ray's on the phone to me calling from America. I'm out in the freezing cold on a coaching call.
Where are you?
Exactly. So it ain't all sunshine and rainbows. And for me, Michelle, there's a book by W. Clement Stone. It is not a fun book to read. It's called The Success System That Never Fails. W. Clement Stone was a student of Napoleon Hill who actually died magnificently wealthy. And the mentor, Napoleon Hill himself, author of Think and Grow Rich, was bailed out of near end-of-life bankruptcy and given a job by Clem Stone as a sales trainer, just really to bail him out because he'd credited so much of his success. Anyway, in that book,
good story.
Yeah, you want to check that out, Ray. Clement Stone, W. Clement Stone.
W. Clement Stone. Well, he wrote another book that's whose name escapes me, but he's famous for another book.
So his seminal work is Success System That Never Fails. And in that book, Michelle, one of the quotes that stuck with me forever is activity destroys fear. So what I would suggest is, Michelle, if you've already followed my advice, which you may or may not have done, and if you haven't, please do, because this is what I've done. I'll go and watch as many of my video testimonials of you guys as I've got, and I've got freaking hours of them. So I go and listen without annoying you guys. I go and listen to your guys' praise of me. I go and listen to Chris Gilmore say that I'm part of his family and we've created a $2 million, $1.8 million business together. And he gives me a lot of the credit for that. I go and listen to Matt Steinwade say the best marketing piece he's ever gotten in the last 10 years was from me. And all of that. I go listen to you guys rave on about me. And then I follow the Clem Stone formula. I get so busy with talking to new people and just doing the work that I haven't got time to feel the funk. I often find the time I feel the funk is when I've got the least on, might be after a big event and I've got a down day or something. And I haven't got activity to distract me from it. So what I would say is, Michelle, it may only be a Band-Aid, but if it's a Band-Aid where you get yourself pumped up by either watching videos of, and if you haven't got videos, call 5 people who you've served and love you, just call them, right? Have a chat to them. Hey, just catching up. They're going to, sing your praises, just be nice. Then go down and dirty and set yourself a goal that is almost impossible, that you might want to talk to 300 people that day. And your activity will you haven't got, and so it's W. Clement Stone saying it. I've done it and it's worked for me. Be so busy that it destroys the fear. Because there's the other thing. Over 300 people that you talk to, you're going to be so busy. And I promise you, there's going to be some success in there that will help probably alleviate the funk. Because if the funk is some sort of financial or whatever stress, then you need to get over that and go and fix that and put some finances in your thing. And there's nothing that does that better than activity. I suppose the only other thing that it could be, Michelle, is heaven forbid if you're on the wrong path. And I would hate to think that. I don't want to talk you out of real estate. So certainly if what I just said, that activity, if after doing what Ray said, and that's taking some Michelle time and clearing yourself with Ray's advice, then maybe 2 days later you try my advice and you just go at it like an animal and you talk to 300 people, you book 7 listing opportunities and you've got 3 listing opportunities booked for in the next week. If you're still a bit ick, my question is, are you on the right path, or is there fundamentally something wrong with some of the direction?
Is there something else? And I don't know, Michelle, but I'll just throw this out there. Is there something else going on that's, I remember when my marriage was evaporating in front of my eyes, and it was just on my brain, and it took over, and it's difficult in that environment. So, you need to take action to get things sorted. The thing I'd say, probably part 2 of going away and sorting your stuff out, because it just doesn't seem to get any better if you just stay there and you're doing the same thing over and over, is to come back and get a result. A result is a listing, a sale, a price reduction, probably one of those 3 things, or an offer or something that's going on, but an offer is going to lead to a sale. So that would be my 2 cents, and just get yourself busier than a one-arm truck driver with good stuff that keeps you busy, and And it's amazing what can't a couple of extra sales a month fix, pretty much, unless you're terminally ill.
Yeah, at least monetarily. Yeah, that's exactly right, mate. And if it's something else other than that, then we need to fix that. But agreed, mate.
And the other thing I'd mention, and I've done this a few times as well, is ask yourself who your best friend is, and if it's somebody you could trust to give some good feedback, go and have a chat to them. It could be your boss, it could be a mentor, somebody that you work with. But there's often a way. You just got to source your way through it. I've posted the link to that book as well, guys. So.
And by the way, a little precursor, don't think that unlike books like Ray's written, unlike modern books, they are designed to not only educate but be entertaining or whatever. This book is by no means going to hold up that it is fun to read. It is agony to read, but it is valuable. I mean, it is one of the it's one of the Bibles of success. Even though Napoleon Hill got a lot of the credit with Think and Grow Rich, it's the success system that never fails. And I think the key is in the word system. Like, Clem Stone put together a system of success. Napoleon Hill sort of taught principles and theory. Clem Stone systemized it and made a squillionaire out of himself out of that system.
Cool. So, well, speaking of systems, Glenn, can I share my screen a little bit, because I want to just do a quick intro to where we're headed with this.
Look at you! Hey?
There's my little graphic. Now that is episode. Can't get my PowerPoint happening here, but that is episode. Maybe if I press play, that could help. That's episode number 112. So if you go to topagentsplaybook.com, episode 112. This isn't short. It's over an hour, and it's just me, so it's not that exciting. You might want to do it in a couple of settings, but it's me taking you through, which is going to save me doing it today, because I don't want to do it today because I'll miss the mark. I want to talk about some aspects of it, but I want to talk about how this solves it. I know everybody's got their own idea, and for goodness sake, if what you're doing is working, if you're following Glenn's system or somebody's system and it's working, if it's not broken, don't fix it. All I'm really looking to do is to give you some extra ideas, especially somebody who's new. I've always got a soft spot, Glenn, not a soft spot. I want to go out of my way and help somebody who's new to the industry, because our industry chews people up and spits them out at a great rate of knots. And the first 90 days will really make you or break you. And here's the other thing about this Prez. What I've done is I've gone through it, the ABCs of listing, and that's not always be closing, how to package and deliver your pre-listing kit, which I actually think is so important, the perfect trial close, and I'll cover off on a few of these things today as well. So all you need to do is go to topagentsplaybook.com/112, and I'm going to give you those documents and stuff. I'll just quickly mention that perhaps right now. All you need to do is sign up for a free account at jiggler.com. You need to email me, ray@jiggler.com. So you might want to write that down, jigglar.com. And then just send me an email, say just join Jiggler, and I will send you a link where you can download direct mail power, the whole document and the templates, the ultimate listing presentation, and the pre-listing kit template. So that is all with my compliments.
Jesus, I tell you, we're spoiling them, Ray. Hey, I'm glad we're coming to the end of this. We're going to go broke giving away all this stuff for free.
Has anybody got that listing yet?
Oh, how did Jack go? Jack, did you get that? You had a listing opportunity you booked yesterday. How did Jack Hackett go at that? I'm not sure. But yesterday, Jack Hackett booked a listing opportunity minutes after we talked about how to do it. So, yeah, that'd be interesting if she did.
Absolutely. Cool. Absolutely. So let me get into the listing Prez, Glenn, and the system around it. I think most listings are lost from a couple of things. Firstly, what I'd call price shock. So I go to see Mr. and Mrs. Twiddle, and they're thinking $7 to $750, and I say $630 to $660, and I see the blood drain from their face. And if you've ever done that, as I have, told somebody way below, regardless of what they're thinking, told somebody way below, and it's just so hard to come back. Oh, you don't believe in our place, and you know, like, people talk about buying the listing. Here's the thing about prices and listing. There is no recommended retail price on real estate. Mm-hmm. So I've sold properties or condos or apartments in blocks where there was 5 sales for say 550 and I've got 600. I've had the same thing where I've got below the price. So you never specifically know. So, but here's the thing. If you lose a listing, and we touched off on this yesterday, but I really want to bring this home because it's super important. If you lose a listing, and say your average fee is 10 grand, you've lost 10,000 that you don't get. You've given 10,000 to your competitor, and you've lost probably 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 more listing opportunities. Right? So that's 40 grand the way I look at it. In anybody's language, it's got to be $40,000. If you run that over 5 years or 60 months, that's a lot of freight. That's a lot of Bugs Bunny. So I'm just really trying to bring home the fact that every opportunity is really important. So if every listing opportunity is a $40,000 opportunity, why wouldn't you package up a really cool pre-listing kit, something that's exciting and it's going to get open? Now, I suggest you do something different, because what you really want to do, you want to do one thing. What's the mission? The mission is get it open. Get your listing presentation or your pre-listing kit open. And so to avoid price shock, what I like to do in the pre-listing kit, and this is all on the podcast episode and it's all in the documents that you can get, what I like to do is I like to send a list of comparable sales in the area just on one page. It's a critical part of your pre-listing kit. And there will be, let's say the house is for sale, let's say the house is worth 7 to 750. So we're going around to the Twiddle's house and we know that it's worth more than 7 and say it's worth 750 or 60. So I want a couple of sales in the early 8s, a couple of sales in the mid 7s, a couple of sales in the early 7s, and a couple of sales in the late 6s. Because there'll be a time in the listing presentation when I can avoid price shock, especially if I'm new, and I can sit down and I can say, Mr. and Mrs. Twiddle, did you get the opportunity to look at the recent sales I've sent? So super important thing. Here's another really important thing, and I think it's a huge rookie error. When you go to the property, the most important thing I think you can do, because if I go and I knock on Glenn's door, he says, hi, Ray, hi, Glenn, come in. Would you like to? And the first thing he's going to say is take a look around. Here's what I think you should say. You know what, Mr. Twiddle, I'd love to take a look around, but could we just have a quick chat first? Because especially if it's cold, I want to get some time to establish some rapport. And if I walk around the house, Glenn's going to say to me, he's going to ask me 2 things. What do I think it's worth? And what's my fee? All right. And don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. That's basically what's going to happen. Right. So the longer I can spend before that, building some rapport is important. Like I said, this is all in my podcast and in the documents. So what I like to do then when I sit down, you get the small talk out of the way. And this is important. And I'd say something like, well, Mr. and Mrs. Twiddle, and I love to be like kitchen table, like kitchen's the engine room of a house. If you go to a party, people always congregate in the kitchen. It's just a natural place, just a comfortable place. Rather than sitting in a living room around, I like a table potentially or a kitchen bench where you can share stuff. So at this point, I've got my nice leather binder out. I'm not giving them lots of crap and showing them lots of different things and every which way, because I want them to set the agenda for the meeting. And I'll tell you why. Because sooner or later, I'm going to ask them if I can be their agent. But if I haven't delivered to their agenda, if I've just talked about all my stuff, I haven't covered off on all their points. So there's no way I can possibly close until I know all their stuff, right? So I say something like this, Mr. and Mrs. Twiddle, thanks so much for the opportunity to connect with you today. I really value the opportunity and I appreciate your time. Let me ask you, what would you like to achieve from our meeting today? And shut up. Mm-hmm. And they'll say, well, what's your commission? Okay, and so I'm starting to write things down. And what sort of marketing are you going to do? Do we have to have a sign? My husband, the garage is full of junk. I'm telling my husband he needs to move it. He's saying he doesn't think he should. So I'm writing all of this stuff down. I haven't answered anything, but what am I doing? I'm setting the agenda. So that's really important. And I explain all of that in the system as well. But your pre-listing kit, it should also contain, so that those just rewind to that for a sec. It should contain just that single list of sales, and the templates all in the system you can get when you go to the link that I'll send you. The important thing that it has is it doesn't have the agent's name on it. It'll have 21 Smith Street, Fremantle, sold 675, December 2017, 3-bedroom brick veneer home on 650 metres or whatever. Just kind of vague things, but just a brief summary. They'll probably know about it and the price. You don't put the agent. The other important thing you need is testimonials. And we probably talked about this a little bit before, but this is my favourite thing, because if I could just send one thing in before a listing presentation, it would be a page full of great testimonials. And the best testimonials, I believe, are the ones that talk about handling multiple buyers and a great price. So if I could have a testimonial from a former client that says, "Hi Ray, just a quick message to thank you for the amazing result. I have no idea how you were able to handle 5 buyers, and the eventual sale price was beyond our wildest dreams. We'll recommend you to all our friends. Warm regards, Kevin and Marg," or whatever it might be, right? Get a first name, get a last name where you possibly can, and an area. So Bill and Jean Smith in Fremantle, WA, or wherever it might be, because a lot of people think that they're made up. I mean, I used to, back in the day, with my client's permission, I'd put their phone numbers there so they could ring them. Nobody ever called them, but at least it removed any doubt. Quickest way to get a testimonial is just call them. "Glenn, if I just sold a property for you, I'd be on the phone to you and say," and you'd say, "Oh, Ray, that was just an awesome result, man. It's over the top. Thank you so much." I'd be saying, "Glenn, thank you. Really appreciate the feedback. Wondering if you could help me a little bit with my marketing. What I used to do is ask if you'd write a testimonial, but look, I know you're really busy. Would you be okay if I just wrote a little bit down I just paraphrase what you just said and just send you an email?" "No, Ray, for sure. I've just let you off the hook, right?" The last thing you want to do is sit down and write a testimonial, because even if you would agree to it, it might be one of those things you've got to get around to. So I send Glenn an email. "Hi, Glenn, this is what I'm thinking. Hi, Ray. What an awesome effort. You're just you're the greatest agent in the world." Right, whatever. Have a little bit of fun with it or whatever. Just paraphrase essentially what they said. You might want to gild it a little bit. And then they'll write back to you every time. I guarantee you, if it's basically good, they'll say, "Hey, couldn't have said it better myself." So so that's the cool idea. So here's your listing. Here's your listing kit. Do you want to see what's inside it?
Oh, definitely. Let's go.
So it's just a little bit of brown paper, right? And a little bit of raffia. And it hasn't got logos or anything over it. It hasn't got the sender's name or anything on it. It's just got Mr. Bill Jones, Ocean Boulevard, in beautiful Noosa Heads 4567. What a lovely part of the world that is, Glenn. So I'm just opening her up. So you want it to get open, and as long as it's not ticking, it's probably going to get open, right? And inside and you can there's a million different designs on this. I just got this from my local pizza shop, right? I just said, "Can I borrow that box?" And inside is a letter and a copy of my book. So get something that you can give them, something of value. The book sells on Amazon for $29.95, but it's free to the person. So there's some implied value. So here is my letter. You notice it's not in an envelope. Why isn't it in an envelope? Because I want to get it opened. If I put it in an envelope, it's another button they've got to click, right? So let's just keep it as simple as we possibly can. Some people might put a pen in there. I just keep it basically simple. So when I turn up, I know that there's an increased chance that they've read the testimonials. If they've read the testimonials and it was from an equal playing field from the start, like I'm not going up against the guy's sister or something like that, I reckon there's a pretty good chance I can get it. So anything you can do to increase your chances beforehand is always worth it. Do we have any specific questions going on here?
Let's have a look. And while, Ray, if you can analyse the questions, let me add, I suppose, a few of my thoughts, because everyone, as you said, has got different ways. What I'm always looking for is commonalities between people's systems. And as you said before, if what people are doing is already working well, then you probably don't need this module of what we're talking about. But if you need some help, what I'm looking for is what has Ray Wood's system got in common with mine, got in common with Matt Steinwade's, etc. So one thing that Ray just said,
Chrissy, just the address. Sorry, Glenn.
On the front. Oh, right. Yeah. Cool. Oh, so that's the way we, So we, how we address it, handwritten, etc. So, when Ray said, what's the one, if there was only one thing he could do, it'd be a book full of testimonials. I absolutely agree. And I love how Ray is looking for ways to have it so that those testimonials are more believable. And what Ray said is very, very right. The hardest thing to do, I suppose. So if it's hard, I like barriers to entry, meaning if I can crack the code of the thing that's hard, then I reduce my competitor's ability to duplicate what I've done. So I've spent an inordinate amount of time in figuring out how to get the most believable testimonials possible. So I've probably, I think I've perfected the art of acquiring video testimonials. I use the right language, the right dialogue, the right, words to ease the camera shock and fear of the consumers, to the point where it's impossible to deny that is a real person who Ray Wood helped when that person is sitting there either looking at a camera, which is good. It's good if they're looking at the lens, but sometimes looking at the lens is the thing that makes them freak out. So if you just, get them to be looking at you while the camera's over here, but looking at you saying, yeah, well, we sold with Ray Wood, and I tell you, we were a bit confused about what to do. And it's looking like they're being interviewed. So we're a bit confused on what to do, and we ended up trusting Ray but he had some out of the box ideas, but he ended up, I tell you, delivering on what he said. And when he ended up getting $30,000, even more than we expected, what that did for us is we ended up taking our entire family to Disneyland on a world trip with that extra money, and we didn't think we'd be able to do that until we retired. So I tell you, that holiday we owe all to Ray Wood. So let me just say, he's a good dude. Or words to that effect. Because one thing that I wanted to kind of draw your attention to there is not only the money. The money's great. We got $30,000 more. We got the words you used before, Ray, were, we got the price was out of this world or whatever. But what they do with the money, what difference they made in their world is astronomically important. Like when, imagine if you got a testimonial saying, Ray, as a result of those early trainings that I did with you, where I was sitting in your audience, watching you up on stage, watching Terry Cooper up on stage at the Greek Club back in 2000 and God knows what, when I bought your program, when I bought Terry's program, when I invested in mentors, and you were one of them, Terry Cooper was one of them, that led to a series of events of me studying everyone that I could learn from, because I thought, wow, if these folks have got some good stuff, who else has got some good stuff? And I became a lifelong learner right there at the Greek Club in Brisbane in 2000 and frickin' who knows what, maybe 6 or 7. I don't even know when that was.
Yeah, it was about 6 or 7.
So that's 10 or 11 years ago, Ray, and that started me on a journey that I can never look back from. I tell you, in recent years, I have I've worked out at Gold's Gym with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I've drunk bourbons with Sylvester Stallone at Arnold Schwarzenegger's house. I've had Richard Branson in my business inviting me to Necker Island. I've lived the life of my dreams. And I do not know if my journey of professional development didn't start with mentors like you, including you. I don't know if those amazing things that I achieved as a result of me implementing those tactics, man, who knows? But I probably wouldn't be living the exact life I'm living. So, sir, from me to you.
Oh, thanks, man.
But you know what I'm saying? That's the result of the result. It's not just, Ray, I've done some great things with what you taught me. It's that I did incredible stuff. So now this isn't about me. This is about what did they do with their money? Ray, by listening with you and getting that extra $10,000 over our asking price, my husband's been a guitarist his whole life. And when I bought him this Gibson Les Paul with the extra money you got us, the guitar that he'd always dreamed of but could never afford, Ray, this happened because of you, mate. Thank you.
Yeah.
What doesn't that mean? $1 million. That is $1 million testimonial. That's $1 million. That's good. So that's what I like, is getting it on video, because that enthusiasm that they exude while they're talking, you can't fake that one. It's undeniable. So I love that as an integral part of our pre-listing procedure, is get them to watch 20 minutes of that before you get there, because I make this as an overarching principle. However you do it with your pre-listing materials, We might call it a consumer awareness guide for selling for top dollar. Because one thing, guys, you don't want to use did you get my pre-listing kit? You don't want to call it industry jargon. You want to call it something. Did you get my information package, the consumer guide to selling for top dollar or whatever it might be? And that's the thing I would end on just on this little rant is 80% of the decision of who they are going to list with at least has been made as a result of what happens before you walk in the door. And if you can do a better job before you get there, that's your marketing in the marketplace, that's your pre-listing kit, that's your testimonials that they watch before they get anywhere near you, that happens. Yeah, but spend the money to make that happen. And then, of course, support it with great work while you're there, because I reckon most of the decision's been made. The dude I was talking to at 3:30 a.m. this morning, his decision to hire me as a coach was made long before I ever got on the phone at 3:30 in the morning. Just the 3:30 in the morning thing was probably just a nice icing on the cake that shows I'll do anything to serve my people, which is true. And
lock in.
But it was done years ago. It was done years ago when he saw me with other things out there in the marketplace. So that's what I would kind of add to what you just said, Raph.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's it's part of your journey, and now you got the $1 Million Agent Summit coming up. So May 8 to 11, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth.
It's a week today. It's a week today. Oh, a week yesterday. Yeah, a week today we'll be in Sydney. Yeah, some
of the other things that you can do to win the listing. I love a little trial close, Glenn, and I always like to know where I stand. So I want to get to the point of, and here's what I say, and everybody's got their own little thing, but let's return to me with my sitting, because I've had a look around the house. We've talked about it. Everything's out of the way, and so I'll say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Twiddle, we've gone through all of these points. And it's almost a little theatrical. I'm either crossing them out or I'm ticking them. Yeah, we've talked about the garage. Here's one great trial close. If there's a little repair issue, or if something needs a coat of paint, or if the garden needs a clean up, you might say something like, can I just say something about this, Mr. and Mrs. Twiddle? I think that your hallway is rather dark. I'm just saying at the moment I'm trying to imagine with in the right environment, I'm trying to imagine a buyer coming through, and I think you could really lighten it up with a coat of lighter paint. But before I ask you to commit to anything, if you agree, and at this point the heads are nodding and saying, yeah, Glenn was talking about that, the hallway's a bit dark. What about we do this? What about we I get my painter, Mario, he could probably stop by tomorrow and give us a quick estimate. No obligation. Now, I normally find as a little trial close, if a potential seller says yes to something like that, they're probably going to say yes to appointing you as their agent. If not, then you've got some work to do. Another great one would be, say, wet areas like a kitchen or a bathroom. Say there's some tiling needs doing in a property. Just say something needs fixing up. Hey, what about I get a quote from I think this would, the house is 99%. Let's finish it off. Let's just get this tiling finished off. Would you mind if I got an estimate from my guy? I'd let you know, see what you think, something like that. So they'll if they say yes to that, then chances are they'll say yes to appointing you. But here's my favorite at the end of the day. This is my all-time favorite, and I'll share this with everybody because I've used this many, many times, and I don't think there was ever a time that I didn't find out the answer I was looking for. It wasn't always the right answer, but at least I knew where I stood. And I'd say something like, Glenn, your home looks absolutely amazing in the light. One of the most important things for us as marketers, not real estate agents, but as marketers, is getting some great images, some great photos. There's probably a 90% chance that our buyer's going to see this property online first. Here's what I'd love to do. I'd love to show you how our professional photography team, how they could make your property look, and just get a collection of some great shots. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to come back here in the next day or so and have them take some photos. And if you like them and you want to hire me, that's great. If you want to go with another agent, the photos are yours with my compliments. I'd love you to have them because I just think it's such an important thing. Now, you haven't asked them for the listing at that point, but you've done the next best thing. Now, if they say no to that, you know you've still got some work to do, right? But for goodness sake, people, while you're there, and I'm sure everybody on this call would agree, make sure that you ask the question, that you find out what's going on. You know, are you happy for me to handle it for you? Just ask the question at the end of the day. So, and we do the thing that we talked about yesterday with a handshake and that sort of thing, just to get the guarantee. But that's a good little close that I think will work and is in the documentation as well.
I like the induced, and again, having started with Clem Stone's books and all of those books that I read in the early days, Magic of Thinking Big and Think and Grow Rich, etc., ended up on another book about psychology, and what he's talking about there is what you've done is you've induced a kind of a mental or a psychological indebtedness that when you pay money for a professional photography team, unless you've really screwed it up, that psychological indebtedness of that gift will 9 times out of 10 prohibit them from saying, thanks, Ray, for that lovely present. We're going to go off to Mark Smith at Remax. And you know what? If they do, then Mark Smith has done a phenomenal job, because what they've done is they've gone against human nature to list with Mark Smith. So what that means is you need to take a good hard look in the mirror and see what you did wrong, or take a good hard look at Mark Smith, because Mark Smith is doing something very, very right if they've overcome the pressure of psychological indebtedness, of reciprocation. It's really hard to be at the pub and be shouted a drink and then shouted another drink and then shouted another drink and not have a growing indebtedness to shout back. You know, it's almost human nature that we call people like that names, you know, moocher and welcher and all of those things. As a society, we shun the person that does not follow the rules of reciprocation, of giving and getting. So when you reciprocate like that, like Ray is doing with the photography, if you don't win based on that, there's something wrong, because brains don't work counter to that law, you know? So, and that's when you were saying before, Ray, about the painting. I would tee up Mario while he's there to be equipped to do the job and say to the seller, look, rather than come back and charge you for another call out fee and all of that, look, I'm ready to rock on my equipment. Ray has empowered me to bill him for this. If you say that it's okay to take this action now, I will send Ray the bill. This is a job that will make this place look $1 million. Just give me the go ahead. It's on Ray, and I can take care of it now, so we don't have to worry about it no matter which way you go. Again, you pay Mario a couple of $100 for that service, and if you lose, then again, you know what? You've paid a couple of $100 to learn something, that there is something seriously broken in your business if you lose after inducing that level of psychological indebtedness in your
totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. It's just such a good thing to ask, though, isn't it? It's just such a good thing to know. And like, if you're going there, get the listing anyway. So and that's the thing, Ray. It's I mean, it truly does come back to that Zig Ziglar thing. Zig said once, you know, help enough people get what they want, and you get everything you want. You know, when you go out there with a mindset of just, I will give until it freaking hurts. You know, and I've lived my entire career that way. And I know a lot of people say, oh, that's just lip service to that or whatever. And you know what? I was kind of one of them. This whole, just give and the universe will give back and all of that. And I understand why a right-brained kind of logical person might think that that sort of astral, you know, just give and don't worry, the money will come back some way or whatever. Well, I sold a Harley Davidson in order to fund my entry into real estate. I sold my Harley Davidson for $12,000, and I gave that $12,000 to the company that I worked for to buy in. I bought in as an early shareholder in an independent company, and that was the last time I saw that $12,000, Ray, let me just tell you. The company didn't work out. Many of the careers in that company worked out well, of course, mine being one of them. But I lost a Harley Davidson as an entry to get into real estate that saw no ROI, no return on investment.
But I still had that law in my head of just serve, 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 give, 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 give. I was well remunerated in money as a coach nowadays. And, you saw Ray on, and some of the guys who are on this may not have seen it, but if you Google Glenn Twiddle and Harley Davidson, you'll see a whole article about a conspiracy between, 20 or so of my clients who got together without me asking, without knowing that I sold they didn't know that I lost a Harley Davidson to enter this industry. They didn't know that. They knew I rode motorbikes instead of driving cars. I've never been a car guy. I've always been a motorbike guy. They knew that, but they didn't know the backstory of selling one or whatever. Yeah. And these buggers conspired to buy me a freaking, $25,000 motorcycle.
How dare they, Glenn?
Just to say thanks.
Just right.
So that's the thing. You help enough people get what they want, you get good shit what you want. You know what I mean? And it absolutely works. So it's a great attitude to just live your clients' best interests. And they're going to give you referrals and money, and they're going to look up, they're going to feed your family if you truly go to your community and love it like it is a family,
Yep. Totally agree. 100%. What about to finish up a couple of fee defense scripts?
Yeah, good idea.
So you're at the table and they say, look,
Ray, I like you, but that other guy's 1%, mate.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The one that I'm a bit rusty on that you probably know is where it ends up saying, okay, so what I'm hearing is you want to go with me. We just need to work out the fee. Are you familiar with that one?
Oh yeah, I love that principle. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The first agreement you've got to get is, if all things were equal, who would you choose? And look at the body language. So if all things were equal, I understand that, Mark, you've already booked the appointment with him. But if all things were equal, who'd be the agent you're looking for? And look at the body language.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
And I apologize if there's any Marks on the call.
So,
but yeah, that's definitely the first thing. We need to ascertain that.
I think it goes something like, so before we get into that, let me just ask you, if we can agree on price, on fees, etc., are you happy for me to be your agent? I think that's because before you start dropping your pants or investing time in that, they might be just playing you off to go with somebody else. Who knows?
Yeah, we call that isolating the objection. You want to make sure it's the only thing that's left. Yeah. So if we can handle that, and if all things were equal, based on what we talked about, so fee aside, does it sound like you're confident that I'm the one for you, and we can move forward based on that, provided we can handle that to your satisfaction? Yeah. So we want to isolate that, because we don't want to answer that objection and then say, but I've still got to talk to the wife, Ray.
No, that's right.
We want to make sure that's the only thing. So we know if that gets handled, we've got a deal.
Bob's your auntie. Exactly. Another good one is that, and here again is I back myself in to be able to produce a better result, right? So I'm saying that I can sell for a higher price. And I like to say something like, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the thing I love about real estate is that there is no recommended retail price. I've developed a system that helps my clients get a better result. Can I show you how it works? In other words, that's the close. Are you ready? Are you ready to get to work? My final one is, and this is probably not news to a lot of people, but boy, if it's delivered properly, it's great. And it's along the lines of, you know what? I'm looking forward, if you appoint me, I'm looking forward to working hard and getting you a top result. It's not always easy, and we don't know what lies ahead, but I'm confident and very comfortable that I can produce a great result. But here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to give you the opportunity. I'd like to write a clause on our agreement and give you the opportunity that you've got the right to renegotiate our fee for service or my fee for service at any time up until the contract is signed. How does that sound? Does that sound fair? And when you say to somebody, does that sound fair? If they object to that, they're saying they're not being fair. Well, it's not fair. Like there's an intimation there. So it's probably all in the language, but I think I was called on that a couple of times, like a sneaky guy that would keep it right up his sleeve at the end, and I'd go to sign the agreement, and I'd spent all of this time, and we'd become, good friends. And you know how when you first start working with your client, it's kind of it's a bit of a stiff, cold relationship, but it quickly warms up. And then at the end of the day, they said, "Hey, you gave me the right to renegotiate this fee." So, and I'll do it. Whatever.
Yeah, of course. Well, you got, that 1 in 100, you got to do it. That 1 in 50. What if it's 1 in 20 that whacks you for it? But you close 19 at your full fee versus the so let me give you my take on that, and definitely rewind Ray's language, guys, when you look at the replay, because it's all about the way you get those words. And I love Ray's use of the word fair. I'm big on that. So this is the way, and look, there's probably about 20 little different ways on the menu that we've got that we go through in our system, because everyone's got a different way to do it. Here's probably my favorite, and it is, and I'm going to go with the one that's along the lines of what Ray's is, because I love removing the risk from them. So the first thing, so Ray, if we were role playing, so Ray, all things were equal, if I matched his fee, as you're saying, because I understand we want to get the best deal, the most money in your pocket at the end of this. And if he's offering a $4,000 discount on mine, if I match that, I'm your guy. Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Yep.
Great. So congrats, Ray. You've hired me. Shake.
Yep.
Done. Let's chink a champagne, right?
Yep.
Now, my only problem, Ray, all I ask is this. Now, here's what's happening here. Let me break role play. You've made a concession to meet the other guy. The law of reciprocation states that now any recession I ask you that is fair and reasonable, you must make, because I've come a little way this way. Anything fair I ask of you coming back this way, you are going to say yes to. Otherwise, they're going against the law of reciprocation. So, Ray, my only challenge with that, all I'm going to ask of you is this. I don't want because all of our listings are remunerated at the same amount. And I've got a team of 4 other agents, all listing and selling with buyers in this area in our office. And I've got an external network of about 20 other agents in other offices, all of which are looking at your property, because I've got an informal working relationship where I sell their properties, they sell mine, because we're all working with different buyers. So we work together. It's a way of collectively getting a better result for our people rather than us holding on to these things ourselves. So there's about 16 to 20 people looking at your property. And I don't want them seeing your property as the least desirable remuneration out of my entire stock list. It'll be the last one they bring their best, hottest, most emotional buyers to. So here's what I'm going to ask of you is this. Remunerate me at the full fee with a absolute rock solid contract that I'm giving you. All you got to do is tick this box. And if at the end of this relationship, if you, and you're the only one who gets a vote on this, Ray, if you tick that box, that is going to instantly get you that $4,000 you're asking for. That if you don't see that me and that referral network that I'm talking about haven't effectively made the buyers pay that $4,000 in extra money in your pocket, thus, what I'm asking, Ray, is let us earn that extra $4,000. And if in your estimation and yours alone, we are unable to have earned the $4,000, then of course you just tick the box and I'll work for the same fee as the rookie down the road that's offering you that, which is, and the reason he's doing so is because it's the only way he can win business. So I'm not speaking out of turn, Ray. They know what I charge and I know what they charge. That's why they do it. So what I'm saying, Ray, is if I don't earn it, I'll work for beginners rates. I mean, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
So,
100%.
So it's the same thing, slightly different wording, I suppose. But what I love is, you're removing the risk from them and putting it on your shoulders. And here's the thing I would add to that. You're leaving now with a 3% agreement. Now I would say it's up to you to defend your fee and show your value. So you better be doing whatever follow-up and keeping them informed they require. So you want to ask, do they want daily calls? What would be enough? Do they want weekly? You need to find that out. When you're negotiating, you better not be doing all your negotiating over the phone and then taking a contract to the buyer. You better be driving back and forth between buyer and seller, showing your value. Michael Spillane once did a contract and got a video testimonial saying Michael negotiated a contract until 3 o'clock in the morning to secure that contract for us. And he was always upbeat, So, you need to be showing counter offers where you're crossing out that offer and writing it in and showing them what you do, why you are worth the $4,000 extra, because the reason they're asking for the discount, Ray, is they think you're just turning up on open house day and pointing at some toilets and some backyards and putting out your hand for $15,000 to be a tour guide. When they see the value that you are adding to their home, every now and then they will still ask for the $4,000 discount, granted, but it's yours to lose then when you conditionally say, hey, incentivize me and let me earn the full fee. And if I'm unable to do so in your estimation, just tick the box and you got your money back. Definitely one of the things that I see a lot of agents making a cock up on is devaluing their thing by doing all their negotiations over the phone. And so whenever I find a client that's doing that, I send them my custom mouse pad that says, sure, click from place to place, but you'll never replace face-to-face.
Love it.
I'm a branding tart, Ray.
That's awesome. Hey, I've got to jump on another call.
All right, we got to let you go then.
Yeah, tomorrow we're going to get to sold. We're going to go through and we'll get in the weeds.
Yeah, we've got the listing now. So now, how do we get those buggers sold? So Perth agents, you need to be on tomorrow. WA agents need to be.
I love a tough market, Glenn. It sorts the wheat from the chaff. So there'll be a lot of agents that don't make it through this, like you were saying on day one. It's going to be very, very interesting. If you could look forward 18 months, it's going to be a very, very different real estate landscape in Australia. In fact, in much of the world. So it's been a blast. Until tomorrow, dream big.
Take names.
Thanks, bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye for now.
See ya.
Wow. Well, there you go. I hope you liked the episode. If you liked that, then what you need to do is you need to subscribe. You need to get more of this craziness because we got more coming. I'm never standing still, and we've got so many more guests. We've got so many more strategies, more out-of-the-box thinking. So if you haven't subscribed, literally, you're like throwing away thousands of dollars. Because I tell you, if you haven't subscribed, you don't come back. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find you, I'm going to market to you, and I'm going to charge you for the very stuff that on this podcast we give away for free. So whack that subscribe button on whatever your favorite podcast weapon of destruction is, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.